Here's another curated recipe from Mon Dessert, Mille Feuille. With this kit you'll be making 4 decadent slices. You'll be guided through how to make rough puff pastries from scratch and how to top the slices with vanilla icing that gives you that distinctive chocolate chevron pattern. So let's get started. Sieve 125 grams of flour into a large bowl and cut 125 grams of very cold butter into cubes. Add them to the bowl and coat them with the flour. Make a well in the bowl and pour in 50 ml of very cold water, mixing with fingertips until you have a firm, rough dough, adding water if absolutely needed. Cover with a tea towel and leave to rest for 10 minutes in the freezer. From the 250 ml of milk, pour 200 ml into a saucepan. Slit the vanilla pod in two and scrape out the seeds. Put the pod and the seeds into a saucepan and leave on a very low heat to infuse for 2 minutes. In a small bowl, mix the remaining 50 ml of milk with the custard powder and 2 of the 15-gram sachets of sugar until you have a smooth paste. Return the paste to the saucepan, making sure you get it all in. Now increase the heat to medium to high and whisk constantly until your crème pâtissière thickens. Turn off the heat. Add 25 grams of soft butter to the saucepan and whisk it in until it starts to melt and it incorporates completely into the crème. Pour the crème pâtissière into a shallow dish. Press the plastic lid on top, touching the crème so the skin doesn't form on top. Leave to cool on a windowsill. Turn on the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Draw a rectangle of 22 by 32 centimeters on one of your pieces of parchment paper. Place this underneath the pastry so that you have a guide. The drawn side should be face down so it does not touch the pastry. Take your rough puff pastry from the freezer and turn out onto a slightly floured surface. Form gently into a smooth rectangle. Roll the dough, keeping the edges straight and even as possible. Push in the sides with your palms occasionally. Roll the pastry to the same size as your guide. You can trim if necessary. Do not overwork the butter streaks. You should have a marbled effect. Keep flouring through rolling as the butter streaks especially will stick otherwise. Fold the top third down to the center, then the bottom third up over that. Give the dough a quarter turn to the left or right and roll out again in one direction to 22 times 32 centimeters. Repeat one more time. Your pastry should be approximately 2 millimeters thick. Cover the rolled pastry with a tea towel and chill in the freezer for 10 minutes. If your fridge or freezer space is an issue, the rolled pastry can be cut in half, creating 2 even-sized rectangles. Take the pastry out of the freezer after 10 minutes and using your ruler and pizza cutter, cut 2 columns of 6 rectangles, 10 centimeters by 5 centimeters each. Place these evenly spaced with a 2 centimeter gap on the prepared baking tray. Place your second parchment, the one you've drawn on top, followed by the second baking tray and put into the oven for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes of cooking, carefully lift off the second baking tray and parchment paper and leave it in the oven for a further 3 to 5 minutes until the pastry is golden. Once baked, place the pastry rectangles onto a rack to cool. For the glaze, sieve the icing sugar into a bowl. Add 22 ml of water and whisk together. It should be smooth but not too liquid for an icing that will spread easily and not run. Transfer 2 tablespoons or 30 ml of this glaze to a different bowl and sieve in the cocoa powder plus another 10 ml of water. Whisk together until smooth, ensuring there are no lumps or it could block the piping nozzle. Take out the crème pâtissière from the fridge. Remove the pod and whisk it vigorously to loosen it up. Use a tall glass to prop the piping bag open and pour in the crème. Make sure you turn up the pointed end so that crème does not spill out. Lay out the pastry rectangles in 4 columns and 3 rows. Select the most even and neat ones to remain untouched for icing later. Pipe the crème to create 2 rows of 4 dots onto 8 of the pastry rectangles. Wash and dry the silicone piping bag. Dip and evenly spread white icing onto the 4 remaining rectangles. Take the piping bag and fit with connector and a 1 mm tip nozzle. Fill the bag with the chocolate icing and carefully pipe short stripes approximately 1 centimeter apart on the white ice rectangles. Take the toothpick and create a chevron pattern by dragging down through the chocolate stripes in alternate directions. Layer the pastry slices with crème pâtissière on top of each other and finish off with an iced layer. Repeat until you have 4 Mille Feuille slices. Eat immediately or place in the fridge to set a little more. Can be stored and chilled for up to 3 days. These are absolutely delightful to serve for afternoon tea or just because. Enjoy!